welcome to another job overview staring our jobs that keep your group and this game in general running healthy. As we all know, staying healthy is something we are looking for in these days, but remember, you don't need to be capped to 100% all the time. Nonetheless, this video shall focus on the job's unique traits and mechanics other than their balancing and state inside of our actual meta. If those things concern you more, check out my Who's the Best Healer in Shadowbringers video and my recent tier list where I covered healer balancing in most of its aspects. Still, you have to remember that each and every content can and will be cleared by any job, and this is even more relevant for healers, because your best setup consists of 2 different healers, where all combinations are chosen very equally. Okay, enough of that. Let us start with the White Mage. The White Mage uses powerful spells to conjure healing or destructive magic, while being very strong at both, focusing mainly on doing the job by itself. Above that, we are using many region-like healing spells and can mostly lean back to let the region deal with the received damage. And all this is made even stronger with highlights like Benediction, healing up a single person by 100% of its life, which can be insanely powerful against tank busters or when Dark Knights need to be topped through proccing their Living Dead ability. On the other hand, the White Mage will not use tons of MP to get it done, providing a strong sustainability, which is also amplified through its core mechanic introduced in Stormblood, the Lily system. This system grants you stacks passively when entering combat that can be used to weave powerful healing spells that have no MP cost and are instant casts, so you are free to use them on the run or when you need to throw in big waves of healing in a short period of time, added to the powerful region spells. But all this is not enough. Above that, you are granted access to a devastating offensive spell in the form of Afflatus Misery, that can be used as soon as you have used 3 Lily healing spells, producing a destructive wave of 900 potency raining down onto multiple enemies and being an instant spell as well. Still, my White Mage's all-time favorite is Holy. That is your AoE damaging spell on one side, but the strongest AoE ability of all jobs on the other side, stunning your enemies for 5 seconds and diminishing by each use of it. With this ability, you're not only dealing a massive amount of damage inside of big dungeon pools, but you also grant your tank and yourself an insane amount of time and space to handle mitigation and healing. When being geared up very solidly, sometimes you don't need to take care of healing at all, because of that tremendous stun duration. So all in all, the whole kit of the White Mage seems perfectly rounded up, and when newly entering the stage of healing inside of Final Fantasy XIV, the White Mage would be the perfect choice, providing a very straightforward battle system that I actually learned without checking out a single guide, while still being the one mostly dependent on your active spell usage and contribution to healing and damaging efforts. There is no fairy or card buffed ally that will make the deal for you. Still, if you want a solid foundation, check out my Ultimate White Mage guide or head for the Balanced Discord. The next healers will increase the scale of difficulty, maybe not on fine-tuning and high-end damage optimization, but on starting the job and getting used to the basic mechanics. And yes, healers need to deal damage as well, at least when using all their potential. So when talking about the Scholar, we are introduced in a whole different direction. While the White Mage focused more on healing through its own power completely, the Scholar splits its healing power into its own contribution and the one of its fairy. At least, it's the first impression you get. Later on, when using the Scholar's kit completely, the fairy is healing constantly, but works more like a permanent regen or OGCD healing assistant. But that also means your healing kit is cut off by a small margin, forcing your active healing spells that also cause recast timers to be reduced in their overall potency. On the other hand, you have access to shielding through most of your healing spells. That means by using GCD heals like Succor or Loquium, above the usual healing the target receives a shield-like barrier to absorb additional damage, and by using emergency tactics, you can remove that shielding to turn it into raw healing power. That whole GCD kit is made complete by adding many OGCD heals that are the strongest healing weapon of the Scholar, and most of them are being accessed through using Etherflow stacks that you can generate through its namesake, being without MP costs and instant OGCDs that are very powerful. Most of them come with a cooldown, so it is wise to plan them into specific phases of an encounter and balance your efforts between using your fairy wisely and using OGCDs without wasting Etherflow stacks mindlessly. Because when aiming for a very effective damaging aspect as well, you need to use energy drain from time to time, to round up your offensive kit and also using Etherflow stacks. A very unique and funny Etherflow spender is Excogitation, providing a buff on your target that remains until the target's HP pool drops below 50%, producing a very powerful single target healing. So with abilities like this, you are able to plan the incoming damage a long time before it actually hits your tank or other group mates. And through using Recitation, this will always be a critical hit, and with its help, the ability you choose can also be used without spending ether flow stacks. That can only be generated inside of combat. So combining those two spells, you have the perfect pre-pull answer to any tank buster that hits your tank early on. Offensively, you share some of your damaging potential with your group through Chain Stratagem, a critical hit boost to all of your allies, placed into their bursting phase in the best case. But the biggest difference compared to a White Mage, and if you want to avoid clipping or delaying at all costs, which means using an OGCD where you could also use a GCD and use that OGCD inside of a recast timer, this becomes very important for the Scholar, as using OGCD heals is the best way to top your tanks and party. Therefore, you will make use of Rune 2, an instant spell that is weaker than your offensive spammer Broil, but grants you time and space for weaving in OGCDs, so when playing optimally, you will use a GCD cast and throw in Rune 2 to proc a recast timer with time and space for OGCD usage. I would love to see that functionality also be applied to our healing kit as well, maybe by making Physic an instant spell as well and boosting the potency of Atlo to grant a stronger difference between those two, but that of course is another story. Let us spend some more words about our Fairy. Generally, she will always use her Embrace spell, which is a single target healing spell with little potency, more or less working like a regen effect. The biggest downside of this permanent healing is that you cannot control it manually. She will always target the party member having the lowest health. Therefore, you have some cooldown-like abilities using Fairy Gauge points accumulated through Ether Flow abilities, and all this is highlighted by the Seraph form, where your Fairy turns into an angelic creature, empowering most of her spells and giving you access to Consolation. That is used like an OGCD and being a stronger version of our GCD Succor. For receiving a solid overview on the Scholar, check out my ultimate guide or Tobio Okuma's written guide on the Balance website, who has nothing to do with the creation of this video, but still, I want to refer to his fantastic work for providing such a brilliant in-depth theory. And so much for the Fairy Master. Hey Des, you lost me at time and space for weaving and all that stuff. Sorry, but things are getting even more complicated now. But nonetheless, let us talk about the insane power of card healing and buffing.
It's time!
The Astrologian combines both aspects of our previously mentioned healers. The strong peak and power healing potential the White Mage calls its own, together with that flexible and efficient OGCD heal power the Scholar uses. All this is accompanied by your card draw and contribution system. While that card system is used in off-cycle to your general healing and DPSing, using those cards to empower your allies or the whole group by a large amount. So the Astrologian is dealing the lowest personal damage of all healers, but that is easily made up with its supportive input. To make all this happen, your base damaging spell Malefic has a shorter cast time than the base recast timer of 2.5 seconds, leaving space and time for weaving one single OGCD right after casting it. Above that, you can also fasten your card draw and play output by using Lightspeed. That removes the cast time of most of your spells, leaving space for an additional spot for OGCDs. But before all of these mechanics take place, you need to choose between your Nocturnal or Diurnal Sect. The first providing Scholar-like shield effects onto most of your healing spells, and the latter following on the powerful White Mage Regen footsteps. I highly recommend to stick to Diurnal when being accompanied by a Scholar, and also mostly when being partnered up with a White Mage, except you need shielding to withstand the big raid wide numbers on early low gear progression. And when teaming up with another Astrologian, make sure to use different sects, so that you won't interfere in each other's after healing effects. When it comes to topping a single person, and especially tanks being devastated by tank busters, the Astrologian has a unique double-stacked OGCD in the form of Essential Dignity, scaling its power towards a low HP of its target. So if you know the perfect timings of mechanics, server ticks, and your tank doesn't suffer from any heart disease, this ability has insane potential, followed by a very strong group heal with Celestial Opposition that copies the potency of aspected healers but being free of MP costs, and an OGCD. Remember, you can weave a single one right after using Malefic or Benefic without any DPS or HPS loss. But that is only the start of it. We also got a special cooldown with Neutral Sect, gaining benefits of the opposite sect you're not using at the moment upon any GCD heal. This is a perfect tool for pre-pull preparation or for power healing in damage heavy situations, but only works for your GCD heal casts. In contrast to that, we got some nice toolkit healing in the form of Aspected Benefic and its OGCD version in the form of Celestial Intersection. The first being an instant GCD heal providing a bonus effect according to your actual sect, and the latter providing a bonus of the opposite sect. so when you're focusing on the stronger region heals in Diurnal, you can still shield your tanks or other party members by shielding them with Intersection. And when it comes to dungeon handling, where your focus mainly remains on tank topping and healing, we also have a nice tool with Sinistry, working like Beacon of Light from good old WoW, sharing some healing with its addressee. But the big difference to Beacon, this also works as a boost to a single person, providing both the original plus the Sinistry healing on top of that. The only downside, it works with GCD heals only. But still, the most unique trait is all that card handling. That can make an encounter very stressy, especially when talking about the opener or reopeners. But as this is the whole system in itself, check out the visual guide inside of my Ultimate Astrologian guide or head for Zerg's phenomenal guide on the balance to receive a solid foundation. And that's mainly it. Healing is love, queuing is fast, and as medical support is highly appreciated these days, start off the healing adventure and become the strongest pillar your party can always count on. Thanks for watching, and stay healthy and stay home playing and enjoying this amazing game. See you guys in the next video, and until then, take care.